and the Caribbean. Technology revolution worth more than $1 trillion is coming. Imagine an economic powerhouse, one that has been quietly gearing up, ready to totally shake up global technology industries. Now get this, Africa has 80% of all the world's population, but right now, less than 1% of the world's data center capacity. But hold on! This isn't a story about what's missing. It is an explosive beginning of something huge. A $1 trillion tech boom for Africa and the Caribbean. It is not just a nice idea. It's actually starting to happen. And way faster than you might think. So, what's actually powering this massive shift? It is not just happening by magic. There are some really strong technology, industry, and money forces at play. First up, let's talk artificial intelligence. AI isn't just some fancy tech term here. It's a real ecosystem. Some folks estimate AI could add a massive $1.2 to $1.5 trillion to Africa's economy by 2030. Similar growth, with digital payments changing their economies and money sent from home from the diaspora becoming even more important. All made easier by this new technology. The whole African fintech market is looking at revenues of $65 billion by 2030, and that's 13 times more than what it was in 2021. Now, tech is just a tool. The real magic behind this revolution, it's the people, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and especially the diaspora. The African and Caribbean people living abroad, particularly in places like Britain, aren't just watching from the sidelines. They're actively involved in building bridges. They are sending vital investment back home. But just as crucial, they're sharing knowledge, skills, and the amazing global connection. Across the United Kingdom, organizations are popping up to support Black, African, and Caribbean tech talent, creating networks for mentorship, funding, and teamwork. Think about a software engineer in London, maybe originally from Lagos or Kingston, Jamaica. He's not just coding for a UK company, he's guiding startups back home, investing in cool ideas, and even co-funding businesses that link both his worlds. This is happening on a big scale, creating powerful cycles of fresh ideas and growth. Even the United Kingdom government has pointed out that these strong people-to-people links and how the African diaspora is helping create opportunities that benefit everyone. This diaspora energy feeds into and is fed by super lively startup scene on the ground. Africa's startup world is buzzing with fresh ideas and a real drive to solve local problems that often have global significance. Funding is definitely looking up. Some predictions say the African tech startup funding scene could grow past more than $90 billion by 2030 if things keep going well and the right policies are in place. The Caribbean diaspora also makes a huge impact, with members doing big things in big global tech companies and pushing innovation in AI, fintech, and cloud computing. We're seeing more shared workspaces and support programs, like the idea for an African Caribbean hub for generative intelligence, designed to bring together talent from both regions, and events like the Africa Tech Festival coming up in November 2025 are expected to gather over 15,000 tech leaders and innovators, sparking even more growth. The Africa-Caribbean tech revolution isn't some far-off dream. It's real. It's happening now. It's picking up speed. It's built on shared history, driven by brilliant people, and supercharged by teamwork and digital innovation. The road to $1 trillion tech scene is being built as we speak by entrepreneurs in busy tech hubs, by forward-thinking diaspora members of cities like London, and by policymakers laying down the groundwork for this new digital age. This is more than just an economic prediction. It's proof of the incredible creativity, toughness, and ambition of two amazing regions. The journey is still unfolding. The challenges are still being tackled with fresh ideas, and the potential is truly off the charts. This is a story of empowerment, a story of connection, a story of a future that brings actively build right now. So what do you think? What do you think about this massive tech transformation? Which innovations are you most excited to see? Drop your thoughts and join the conversation in the comments below. If you found this interesting, please give this video the thumbs up. Subscribe for more deep dives into where global tech is heading. And share this story with everyone who needs to know about the incredible tech wave building across Africa and the Caribbean. Let's spread the word about this $1 trillion future that's coming soon, right now. Africa and the Caribbean. Technology revolution worth more than $1 trillion is coming. Imagine an economic powerhouse, one that has been quietly gearing up, ready to totally shake up global technology industries. Now get this. Africa has 80% of all the world's population, but right now, less than 1% of the world's data center capacity. But hold on! This isn't a story about what's missing. It is an explosive beginning of something huge. $1 trillion tech boom for Africa and the Caribbean. It is not just a nice idea, it's actually starting to happen, and way faster than you might think. So, what's actually powering this massive shift? It is not just happening by magic. There are some really strong technology, industry, and money forces at play. First up, let's talk artificial intelligence. AI isn't just some fancy tech term here, it's a real economic booster. Some folks estimate AI could add a massive $1.2 to $1.5 trillion to Africa's economy by 2030. We're seeing things like generative AI and machine learning ready to cook up brand new industries and shake up old ones. Think farming done with pinpoint accuracy. Super advanced medical diagnosis, education tailored to each student, and slick new financial services. Imagine AI helping small farmers get more out of their crops, or AI chatbots giving out crucial health tips in local languages. The Caribbean is also building up its AI game. A recent McKinsey report even said generative AI could add additional $61 to $105 billion in Africa and the Caribbean. That's huge! Digital infrastructure. This is the absolute bedrock of this tech boom. You can't build a digital future on wobbly ground, right? Africa's got a big gap to fill with data centers. They probably need about 700 new ones to keep up with all the growth. But that gap is closing and closing fast. Money is pouring into data centers, with the African market expected to hit nearly $7 billion by 2030. Just building them will cost over $3 billion. And it's not just the basic stuff. High performance computing is taking off, powering some serious AI research. The Caribbean is also working hard to beef up its digital highways, often with help from other diaspora networks and partnership with global tech giants. Better connection for everyone is the name of the game, leading to smarter cities and getting more people online. And then there is fintech and digital payment. This area is absolutely exploding and opening up much more economic opportunity. Africa's digital payment scene is rocketing towards $1.5 trillion by 2030. Fintech startups aren't just companies, they are changing people's lives by making money accessible to millions. Sending money across borders is really a hot area, predicted to be $1 trillion market in Africa by 2035. This is all thanks to things like mobile money, blockchain, and clever fintech tools. In 2024 alone, people using mobile money paid over 100 billion to businesses. The Caribbean is seeing similar growth, with digital payments changing their economies and money sent from home from the diaspora becoming even more important. All made easier by this new technology. The whole African fintech market is looking at revenues of 65 billion by 2030, and that's 13 times more than what it was in 2021. Now, tech is just a tool. The real magic behind this revolution, it's the people, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and especially the diaspora. The African and Caribbean people living abroad, particularly in places like Britain, aren't just watching from the sidelines. They're actively involved in building bridges. They are sending vital investment back home. But just as crucial, they're sharing knowledge, skills, and the amazing global connection. Across the United Kingdom, organizations are popping up to support Black, African, and Caribbean tech talent, creating networks for mentorship, funding, and teamwork. Think about a software engineer in London, maybe originally from Lagos or Kingston, Jamaica. He's not just coding for a UK company, he's guiding startups back home, investing in cool ideas, and even co-funding businesses that link both his worlds. This is happening on a big scale, creating powerful cycles of fresh ideas and growth. Even the United Kingdom government has pointed out that these strong people-to-people links and how the African diaspora is helping create opportunities that benefit everyone. This diaspora energy feeds into and is fed by super lively startup scene on the ground. Africa's startup world is buzzing with fresh ideas and a real drive to solve local problems that often have global significance. Funding is definitely looking up. Some predictions say the African tech startup funding scene could grow past more than $90 billion by 2030 if things keep going well and the right policies are in place. The Caribbean diaspora also makes a huge impact, with its members doing big things in big global tech companies and pushing innovation in AI, fintech, and cloud computing. We're seeing more shared workspaces and support programs, like the idea for an African Caribbean hub for generative intelligence, designed to bring together talent from both regions, and events like the Africa Tech Festival coming up in November 2025 are expected to gather over 15,000 tech leaders and innovators, sparking even more growth. The Africa Caribbean tech revolution isn't some far-off dream. It's real. It's happening now. It's picking up speed. It's built on shared history, driven brilliant people, and supercharged by teamwork and digital innovation. The road to $1 trillion tech scene is being built as we speak by entrepreneurs in busy tech hubs, by forward-thinking diaspora members of cities like London and by policymakers laying down the groundwork for this new digital age. This is more than just an economic prediction, it's proof of the incredible creativity, toughness and ambition of two amazing regions. The journey is still unfolding, the challenges are still being tackled with fresh ideas, and the potential is truly off the charts. This is a story of empowerment, a story of connection, a story of a future that brings actively builds right now. So what do you think? What do you think about this massive tech transformation? Which innovations are you most excited to see? Drop your thoughts and join the conversation in the comments below. If you found this interesting, please give this video the thumbs up, subscribe for more deep dives into where global tech is heading, and share this story with everyone who needs to know about the incredible tech wave building across Africa and the Caribbean. Let's spread the word about this trillion-dollar future that's coming soon, right now. Yes, it's coming soon, right now. It is here! It is here! This is the motivator here. This is where we translate our words, into action. Because success is ours for the taking. It is very much a mindset. It is very much a mindset. You are the change makers. Yeah, you're all leaders. Yeah, you're all innovators. You're all creators. Yeah, you heard my guest of the last podcast, King Kabbalah, say, yeah, we shouldn't be seduced by the sort of messianic attitude. We are the power behind the throne because we are the throne. Yeah, you are the leaders. Yeah, it's the motivator here, and I'm feeling good. Yes, I'm feeling good. This is going to be yet another inspirational podcast because the potential from this podcast is going to be fantastic. And I'm assuring you, you want to tell your wife, your husband, you want to tell your children, you want to tell your rest of your family, you want to tell all of your network what you've learned today, because the future is very much in your hands. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's inspire us all. Let's inspire each other, because you are the change makers. Praise Jah. Yeah, Rastafari. And I say more, because that is very much a mindset, a way of life. Praise be, praise be. We will have the in around 40 minutes time, approximately 40, in fact 30 minutes time, we'll have the keynote interviewer present here on the Motivator Show. Okay, it truly will be an inspirational experience. Okay, but before then and now, there's much I want to share with you. Much has happened since our last podcast, okay? Because it's what we're doing here is creating waves, inspiring action. And action, of course, is ultimately the whole purpose of these podcasts. That we're not idly discussing these matters and debating matters, that we translate words into action. Because success, we know, success is ours for the taking. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, let's move it along. First of all, I want to give praise and respect to King Kabbalah of the ACUP, the African Continental Unity Party, a truly Pan-Africanist party that seeks to promote and develop leadership across the continent to build African unity. Yep, as opposed to simply talking about it, they're delivering African unity. Regardless, he says, of your religious affiliation, unify. Regardless of your ethnic designation, unify. Regardless of your experience and social class. Unify, yeah? If you're a person of compassion, enablingness, yeah, unify. Why not unify? Hold the hands, embrace those who share your vision for the future. Because this is what these podcasts are concerned with. Unity is strength. In unity is strength. Yeah, these are not idle words. These are actual experiences. It doesn't matter who you are, provided there's a set of values and principles around which you're all able to rally. In unity is strength. Yep, in unity is strength. But you've got to hold to it. It can be quite tough at times. I get it, I get it, I get it. But hold the hands, embrace those who share your principles, and together you can make the difference. Oh, yeah, absolutely right, absolutely right. So I want to say, well done, King Kabbalah of the ACUP, and his vision for the future, a vision that we all can embrace and appreciate. Yeah, we get them back in here again, because there's much we continue need to discuss and learn, from which action will follow. Oh yeah, there's one of my favorite human beings, if I may say so. One of my favorite human beings. I also, before I go into other announcements, I want to recognise a few other guests of mine, and this show this year has been truly, truly fantastic. But as I mentioned in my more recent podcast, that I've been engaged in the past 2 to 3 years in conducted research, a bit of market research that I do in order to provide the raw material, the evidence base for these podcasts. One of the rounds of discussions, debates, and of course research I've been involved in is really looking at and reviewing our attitudes, yeah, as men, as women, our attitudes, issues which are important or not important, one gender or the other, attitudes. Okay, I want to give thanks to those who've contributed. I've spoken now to more than 4,200 women of all ages, different backgrounds, and so on. It's been very, very, very insightful. Oh yeah, to say the least. Okay, and at the last podcast, of course, you had a flavour of the interesting views of women of different ages. Okay, and those of you who've seen the re-edited version where I fill in some of the gaps and so on in terms of the evidence that they supplied, okay, I'm honoured by the responses I've received. I appreciate you. And if you wish to be a part of my market research where we're looking at the attitude and views of people across a whole range of social issues, and you don't mind participating, okay, it will be maybe a 30-minute, 45-minute discussion, okay, just so we can better understand the people who watch these podcasts and indeed may not watch the podcast, but have got a view, they've got a perspective, views and perspective that we all need to value and appreciate. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So what you to do is to send a message through to us on the chat, indicating you'd like us to reach out to you. Okay. If you're on YouTube, okay, just reach out to us via the chat and simply say the motivator, or I don't mind participating. Okay. Um, or you could send us an email at demotivatorshow501@gmail.com. Okay. These details will be on the screen in the re-edited version of this live podcast. Yet another one of these pluses to watch the re-edited version, which will be contain even more evidence based upon the discussions, debate that we hold in these live podcasts. Okay. So if you wish to participate, reach out to us. The Motivator Show, 501@gmail.com. Okay. Thank you. And those of you who have participated, thank you. Thank you. I also want to, at this point, give a recognition to those who've indicated that they wish to accompany us, when we visit Burkina Faso. Okay. We've had over 200 indications of expression of interest. Thank you. We've only made only one announcement so far, so I've got 2 or 3 months of this to go. So there you are, already 200. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. And those of you who wish to be with us when we visit Burkina Faso, which will be the last week of January to the second week, to the first week of February, in other words, a 2-week period, okay? The price will be an inclusive price of board and lodgings and so on, okay? And you will be treated like VIPs. This is the motivator here. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. You'll be treated like VIPs, okay? And we'll better understand how it's been possible for countries such as Burkina Faso to be so transformative within a relatively short period of time. Oh yeah, oh yeah. In fact, on this one, I will actually put this on the screen. There we are, put it on the screen. Those of you who wish to accompany us, be part of our delegation, as it were, to Burkina Faso, okay? Happy for you to join us, okay? There you are, there you are. So again, these details are now on the screen. So the Burkina Faso trip, okay? It's more than just a trip. It will be an opportunity for you to see the country, the people, meet the people, okay? Look at and assess where you could potentially retire or earn a home, or indeed, critically important to the country, commercial activities, investment opportunities, okay? And if you have a skill, oh yeah, then most probably are transferable to Burkina Faso. The trip is scheduled for the 26th of January to the 9th of February, okay? And if you wish to be a part of our delegation, that great country, and we'll be treated like VIPs, and that means we will have the opportunity to meet very important persons, okay? The email address to use for that specific trip is the future is Burkina Faso at outlook.com. I repeat, if you wish to join us, I just need you to express an interest. We just need your name, yeah, and we need your name and a telephone number, okay? And we'll then follow on with you thereafter, okay? The future is Burkina Faso at outlook.com. That is the email address to use, please, okay? The other one is maybe got too busy now, so you are, right? Okay, there you are. We'll put this on the screen later in the podcast, but it's an important activity. It will be important to visit that great country. It'll be important to see the truth, get behind all the propaganda you hear, and see the truth. I've completed my due diligence. It is a place I now recommend. Absolutely, absolutely. All righty. So now I need to move on to the next phase of this podcast. And each of you will recognize what this is. And that's, of course, lifestyle messages. We include lifestyle messages in these podcasts because far too many members of our audience, indeed, or not our audience, far too many of us are dying long before our term of illnesses which are avoidable, illnesses directly linked to our lifestyle. Indeed, what we eat, what we do, yeah, and what we don't do. Yeah, our lifestyle. So one of our missions here on the Motivator Show is to encourage you to raise your consciousness so that we give you the power, or at least join with others with that power, so that you can change your lifestyle, modify your lifestyle, so you can live longer, healthier lives. Levels of diabetes, particularly in the African heritage communities, yeah, particularly in the diaspora, is off the charts. The levels of high blood pressure, off the charts. Levels of obesity or fatness, overweightness, off the chart, but particularly amongst our women. Yeah? Levels of mental health off the chart. Yeah? Off the charts. We have to respond to what is a clear and present danger. We have to respond. It is, for me, the motivator, a moral duty to share with you lifestyle messages that the professionals advise that we should be aware, conscious, and incorporate as part of our everyday living. It's not a guarantee that you won't succumb to one of those illnesses I've mentioned, but would it not be better to have a shield? Would it not be better to have some resilience? Would it not be better to do something and not simply succumb? But working with others, whether it be your wife, your husband, whether it be your children or your friends, whether it be your networks or others, wouldn't it be better to be aware of the information and have the opportunity to respond positively in your own interest? Not mine, in your own interest. I'm overwhelmed by the positive responses that I've received from you, the listeners, from you, the viewers, through lifestyle messages. And I thank you for those responses. And in the main, they have been incredibly supportive. I thank you for that feedback, because it is a challenge at times. You're not always sure, but listen to some of the stories, some of the accounts. These are personal accounts. This is the right step. Listen keenly to these messages, only 5 minutes. Just listen keenly and share these messages with those who you believe would benefit. The Motivator Show, the internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. I choose a healthy lifestyle. I will relax, when possible, attend a spa. I will eat healthy food and drink appropriate amount of water each day. I will exercise and maintain fitness. I will not be afraid of doctors and seek out medical examination when I need it. I will promote good mental health because it's important to me. I deserve to be happy. London is United Kingdom's capital city. It is amongst the most cosmopolitan in the world. It possesses all possible extremes, including in wealth, cultural and religious diversities. The main causes of illness and premature death in London, like the rest of the United Kingdom, are coronary heart disease, strokes, cancers, and respiratory diseases. Other key health challenges in London include tuberculosis, issues relating to sexual health, including HIV/AIDS, mental health, and drug and alcohol misuse. It is likely that these issues and diabetes and obesity will continue to be priorities over the next 10 years. As London's diverse population increases, there's also likely to be an increase in diseases which are more prevalent in some Black and ethnic minority communities, such as high blood pressure and renal diseases. I choose a healthy lifestyle. I will relax, when possible, attend a spa. I will eat healthy food and drink appropriate amount of water each day. I will exercise and maintain fitness. I will not be afraid of doctors and seek out medical examination when I need it. I will promote good mental health because it's important to me. I deserve to be happy. London currently has high levels of health inequalities. with unacceptable variations in infant mortality and life expectancy across the capital. Tackling these issues is likely to remain a key challenge over the next 10 years. London is United Kingdom's capital city. It is amongst the most cosmopolitan in the world. It possesses all possible extremes, including in wealth, cultural and religious diversities. The causes of health inequalities are similar to those that determine health in general, including, for example, housing conditions, employment opportunities, environmental factors such as pollution, the amount of exercise undertaken, one's diet and smoking, and access to health services. I choose a healthy lifestyle. I will relax and when possible attend a spa. I will eat healthy food and drink appropriate amount of water each day. I will exercise and maintain fitness. I will not be afraid of doctors and seek out medical examination when I need it. I will promote good mental health because it's important to me. I deserve to be happy. Public health priorities. Life expectancy is stalling and health inequalities are widening. After a century of increases, the decades prior to COVID-19 pandemic saw improvement in life expectancy amongst the UK population stall. For some, these improvements went into reverse. Between 2010 and 2012 and 2016 and 2018, life expectancy among women living in the most deprived 10% of areas of England fell, with the largest increases in the northeast. The diseases now most prevalent within the communities include diabetes, high blood pressure, heart conditions, cardiovascular diseases, lung disease, cancers, and obesity. London is United Kingdom's capital city. It is amongst the most cosmopolitan in the world. It possesses all possible extremes, including in wealth, cultural and religious diversities. Professor Kevin Fenton, CBE. Kevin Fenton is the president of the Faculty of Public Health. He's also a senior public health expert and infectious disease epidemiologist who has worked in a variety of public health executive leadership roles across government and academia in the United Kingdom and internationally. His specialist interests are in tackling health inequalities, infectious disease prevention and control, climate justice, and urban health. Professor Fenton is the Regional Director for London in the Office for Health Improvement and Disparities within the Department of Health and Social Care. Within this role, he's also the Statutory Public Health Advisor to the Mayor of London and the Greater London Authority and the Regional Director of Public Health for NHS London. He is also the Government Chief Advisor on HIV and Chair of the HIV Action Plan Implementation Steering Group for England. Professor Kevin Fenton says, I'm a public health director. Here are 5 things you can do to improve your health. 1. Mindful and balanced eating. Nourish wisely. Eat whole, balanced meals with awareness to support energy and well-being. 2. Get outside. Be with nature. Time outside reduces stress, improves mood, and strengthens your connection to the world. 3. Stay curious, stay engaged, explore new interests, keep your mind sharp, build social contacts, and boost your happiness. 4. Get active, move it or lose it. Move daily, lift weight, and do cardio. Exercise, improve physical, mental, mood, and energy. 5. Prioritize rest and sleep. Disconnect, rest. Quality sleep supports mental clarity, emotional balance, and overall health. I choose a healthy lifestyle. I will relax and when possible attend a spa. I will eat healthy food and drink appropriate amount of water each day. I will exercise and maintain fitness. I will not be afraid of doctors and seek out medical examination when I need it. I will promote good mental health because it's important to me. I deserve to be happy. Traditional. You deserve to be happy. I'm going to say it again. You deserve to be happy. Because I know in the early days when we introduced the lifestyle messages, there was some resistance that it didn't quite fit into the format of these podcasts. These podcasts are a compassionate, informative, action-oriented experiences. Okay? We must be concerned about each other. Okay? You see a clear and present danger. We need to share information that enables us all to defend against a clear and present danger. Okay? Life expectancies among some populations have stalled because of their ill health. And it is particularly true of Africans in the diaspora, okay, and some South Asian communities here in Britain. Levels of diabetes, high blood pressure, yeah, obesity or fatness, cardiac conditions, heart conditions are through the roof. Many of them are related to our lifestyle, what we do to ourselves. A lack of awareness is the problem. An aspect of combating this, and I'm only a few more minutes, an aspect of combating this is regular exercise. I know many of you exercise, but I know the majority of you do not exercise. Yep. Apart from maybe going towards a bus stop or whatever, far too many do not exercise. And we know we're building up problems because of this, Our bodies want to be worked, as it were, okay? But what I'm heartened by is the numbers of you who've heard these messages have come together in common aim and common purpose, recognizing your health is your highest wealth. It is your highest wealth. And recognize working together, we can avoid the scourge of ill health. Working together, anything is possible because in unity is strength. I want you now to watch a group of people who've come together in common aim and common purpose, who recognize that these words, if they're the meaning thing, you've got to translate them into action. Watch these people. These are ordinary people exercise together. I just want you to watch it. If it's not happening in your network, within your communities, ask the question why. And I want to encourage you to be the leaders as you are and organize your own local exercise group. Watch this video. 2 minutes.
Cheese. Famous. Hello, 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 hello.
Oh yeah. This is ordinary people come together in common aim, common purpose, understanding working together. It's much easier to exercise if we do it together. You see, there's ordinary people. Some are tall, some are short, some are quite slim, some are quite, quite heavy.
Yeah. why are they trying for
Some quite
always get
mature,
some nice
some
every
quite
day
young.
and night?
Look at
This
that.
one way we
Oh yeah, they're
offend we
sweating.
safe, not nobody own.
They have
When
their
you get
water.
too much, we go
Water in
down
their
you
bar.
belly, nine you young. And the balance
What's
where
this,
you
huh?
go
What's
die
this?
left, not
Oh,
all
yeah.
the money young.
Easy exercises. Oh yeah. But doing it together is much easier. Much easier.
If you see finance where you collect,
It is transformative.
you meet up woman where you
Taking care of their health. You're honouring your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your children. They appreciate you. If you're healthier. Oh yeah, she's smiling, they're sweating. Oh yeah. Come on. Oh, you're exercising in response, you know? You're not just sitting there. Come on now, get up and let's do some exercise. Hold it for a few minutes now. Come on now, get up and exercise. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she's enjoying herself. She's tired, but she's enjoying herself. There's no embarrassment here. Oh, I see children there. Oh yeah, start them young. The best way. So it's part of their consciousness.
Every day, every day, every day. I see they also work for the pay.
Oh yeah. See that? You can do this. Come on, are you doing it now? Come on. There you are.
As long as you get waiting, you dey eat. Land for the loose body one.
Wonderful, wonderful.
This one way we offend we safe. Nobody own.
The children do it as well. Yep, they're big and they're small. Yes, slim and they're wide.
Balance where you go die left na all the
But working together, you find the strength to do it consistently. Wonderful, wonderful. Is this happening in your neighborhood? Yeah. In your village? Yeah. In your town? In your city? Are you a part of it? Remember, you can do it by yourself and do it very quickly. But if you want to go far, if you want to be sustainable, we do it together. That's a general rule in life. Working together, you increase your potential for success. In unity is strength. Every person you see on the screen, very clear. In unity is strength.
Oh no no, no make nobody take your peace away. Me joy away, me smile away.
Oh yeah.
Oh no no.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Lovely. There you go, there you go. Are you doing this? Come here for a few seconds, there you go. Oh, well done. I compliment them. Well done. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Fantastic, huh? We're just ordinary people, yep, who've come together in common aim and common purpose, recognizing that their health is their highest wealth. You know, in fact, I'm going to plug one as I do regularly. If you're in South London or visiting South London, okay, in South East London in particular, to meet this particular group, why not meet them? You know, just participate in the exercise session. In fact, I'll put it on the screen for you, just so you've got their details. Reach out to them. Why not? Yeah, come on now. It's for you. Only for you. There you are. Every Monday and Wednesday between 6:30 and 8 p.m. Okay, they're at 12 Tatum Street, Tatum Street in London. That postcode S for sugar, E17 1. T for Togo, N for Nigeria. There you are. That's where you could find them. Experience that exercise session. They will not turn you away. Yep. They might ask you to take it easy at first and gradually build up, but they'll care for you. Yep. It is better to do it together than go solo. We've got enough solo artists in our community. What we need is collectivists. Yep. The collectivist approach. And together we can move mountains. Together, anything is possible. Yeah, which is really the theme for today's podcast. I mentioned Burkina Faso has been a country which has demonstrated that you can make real advances when you have good quality leadership, conscious leadership, caring, compassionate leadership, meticulous leadership, intelligent leadership, yeah, who are totally committed to the people. Yeah? Totally committed to the people. That's why we're going to visit them next year. Okay, be a part of the delegation with the Motivator Show. Yeah. Oh yeah. Join us. Join us. But just as important, okay, understanding the revolution we're now experiencing. Yeah. The biggest growth in the technological revolution that the world would experience for the next 50 to 100 years will come out of Africa and the Caribbean. Why? Because these are areas which have been underinvested for too long. So the greatest stimulus, economic growth for the world will be in Africa and the Caribbean. Why is it particularly important? Not only has it suffered underinvestment for far too long, Africa and the Caribbean represents, on average, the youngest populations in the world. Yep, the youngest populations in the world is in Africa and the Caribbean. Okay, but of course, there are more than 250 million Africans around the world. Yeah, diasporan, if you like. Okay, who could contribute to the economic and technological revolution, yeah, and benefit from that economic revolution that is happening in Africa and the Caribbean. It's open to all, of course, but this message is particularly aimed at the African diaspora. Okay, you recall only a few weeks ago, a few podcasts ago, we talked about, of course, the Pan-African Treaty. And I just want to just remind you of that Pan-African Treaty. Those of us of the diaspora have been asked to come under the Pan-African Treaty of the 6th region of the African diaspora. Okay, and this will allow us in the diaspora, to have influence via the Organization of African Unity, the AU. If you wish to be a part of that growing movement, please, this is the email address to write to, okay? And they will send you a copy of the Pan-African Treaty of the 6th region of the African diaspora. Very important document. The email address is Pan-African Treaty, African diaspora, without the A at the end. You can see it on the screen. Pan-African Treaty, African diaspora, without the A at the end, at gmail.com. I commend this initiative to you. Okay, and I hope that Sipui, who presented this paper, is not far away, and I look forward to talking to him in the not too distant future. Okay, well done for that initiative, an important initiative. And before I go to my guest, who are beginning to pile up in my waiting room, I just want to give a quick plug for this podcast. If you haven't yet subscribed, okay, we urge you to subscribe. This allows the YouTube algorithm to recognize this podcast as been a podcast which is stimulating interest, okay, attracting eyes. And therefore, the YouTube algorithm, it's really a digital mind, because we're talking about technology today. It's interesting, huh? Okay. Will then recommend this podcast to hundreds of millions of people worldwide. There are more than 1 billion persons who've subscribed for free. I repeat, subscribe for free to YouTube. Okay, there you are. That will help us immensely. It will help us immensely. And if in doubt, ask questions, I say to you, but we'd urge you to subscribe. We would very much appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate. Now, in fact, let me just make one other mention of another subject which I want to, just before anything else happens here. I'll take that down. I'll take that down as well for you. I just want to just remind everyone that this podcast will be re-edited, okay, and there'll be a reaction to the contents of this podcast from governments across Africa and the Caribbean, which will come out in the coming days and weeks. Okay, so this will be an important, pivotal transmission. Okay, so what I'm now going to do, I'm going to bring my guest into the studio because these are the experts. Okay, these are the tech entrepreneurs, the tech teachers. They're the ones who are going to lay the groundwork for the technological revolution that is happening in Africa, but has to happen where we live. Raising awareness and competency is important. Let's see if I can bring them into the studio now. First one. Let me get the first one in. The first one into. Let's start bringing them in. There we go. Let's start to bring them in. Because today's podcast is going to be truly inspirational. Anyway, let's get them in. Let's get my first guest in. I'll get him in first. All right, his screen is blank. I'm sure his screen, that's Graham, I believe. His screen is blank. Okay, that's sorted out, I'm sure. Oh, second screen is not so blank. A very stern face look at us there. I think we've got Sheldon in the room. Yes, we are a little faint. Yep, we're there. Good. I'm now going to bring in the lady. Let's see if we can. Oh, got him there as well. I'm now going to bring her in if we can. Brilliant. And we have the amazing Emily, I believe, on the line as well. Emily, can you hear us? Can Emily hear us? Oh, Emily cannot hear us. Oh, you can hear us. Yes?
Good morning.
Good morning. Wonderful. Success. Oh, yep. And why we have success this morning? Good morning there, Graham. Good morning. Success. It's good to meet you all again.
Good morning.
Good morning. Wonderful. We've got a lot to get through today, so I'm going to get right into this. And you each of you have been on the Motivator show previously, so we know you. But I'm still going to ask the question, as you know I'm going to ask you, okay? And I'm going to start with that smile we just received from Emily there. Oh, good morning, Emily.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, look at that smile. You know what I'm going to say to you? I'm going to ask you, please, Emily, just to give your name and the organization. And what is your passion? What is your passion? So give me your name, the organization, and just share with my audience, what is your passion? Go ahead, over to you.
So my name is Emily Mendy. I'm the founder and CEO of Busybodies. So we're actually a platform where young people can develop, learn, and share STEM skills, science, technology, engineering, art, and STEM skills.
Good.
And one of my passion is actually to help people grow and using the tools available to be part of this rapid transition that the world is going through at the moment.
Spot on. Wow. I'm not going to say more to that because that's perfect. A perfect vision.
Teams also working hard to beef up its digital highways, often with help from other diaspora networks and partnership with global tech giants. Better connection for everyone is the name of the game, leading to smarter cities and getting more people online.
And then there is fintech and digital payment. This area is absolutely exploding and opening up much more economic opportunity. Africa's digital payment scene is rocketing towards $1.5 trillion by 2030. Fintech startups aren't just companies, they are changing people's lives by making money accessible to millions. Sending money across borders is really a hot area, predicted to be $1 trillion market in Africa by 2035. This is all thanks to things like mobile money, blockchain, and clever fintech tools. In 2024 alone, people using mobile money paid over 100 billion to businesses. The Caribbean is seeing similar growth, with digital payments changing their economies and money sent from home from the diaspora becoming even more important. All made easier by this new technology. The whole African fintech market is looking at revenues of 65 billion by 2030, and that's 13 times more than what it was
in 2021.
Now, tech is just a tool. The real magic behind this revolution, it's the people, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and especially the diaspora. The African and Caribbean people living abroad, particularly in places like Britain, aren't just watching from the sidelines.
Oh, all right. We're back. Can you all hear us, first of all? Just double check. Graham, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I'm here,
You are.
100%.
100%.
Yes.
All right here.
Yeah, the gremlins. Yeah, the gremlins. The gremlins. Yes.
Oh, we can't hear Sheldon, though. We cannot hear Sheldon. He is muted, apparently. Just so you know, Sheldon. No, he says no. The gremlins. Oh, no. Okay. You've got the alternative method, Sheldon. I'll active. You've tried the alternative method, are you? Okay, let me hold on. Let me just put Sheldon in the other place. Hold on a second. There we go. And there we go. Oh no, he's come back in. There we go. Let's see if this worked with him. Okay, the gremlins. We can see him. Can he hear us? Oh, he's still muted. He's still muted. If you could use the other link, Sheldon. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just try this again for Sheldon. The other link is now active. The other link is now active. I can resend it if you like. The other link is now active. Okay, I'll resend it. Yep. I shall resend it. One moment, everyone. And as I said, this will be re-edited, so you won't see much of it in the re-edited version of this transmission. But anyway, there we go. I'll send to Sheldon for some reason. Whatever is going on, it is well. It only happens to those who are making the difference. Okay, I've just reset it to you, Sheldon. Hopefully you will see that in a moment. Not sure. He's got it. Okay, good. If you come out of this live, go in that way. Excellent. I'm going to admit you. You were there a moment ago. I saw you. 1 second. There we go. You are now joining. Excellent. I shall put this on as well. Okay, I'm going to take you out the other side. 1 moment. There you go. You're over here. And Sheldon, your camera's not on. Oh, it's slightly out of focus. That's fine. And I now will add you in here. And I think that's we're set. Sheldon, can we check your sound?
Can you hear me?
We can. Yes. Excellent.
Brilliant.
Okay, there you are. We always have contingencies here. It is well. It is fine. It is fine. Good. And Graham can hear us. Graham is always multitasking. Yes, people, he's a genius. So do I. That's what they do. But anyway, I'm going to go to Graham first of all. You're about to
I only do what I do. I'm not a genius. I just get to do stuff. That's all. Yeah, I just get to, and I get to work with interesting people. You know, I get to work with interesting people. Yes, that's what I do. Yes, I'm like Bill Gates. You know, I pick brains. Yeah, I work with different people. You know, with different skills. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I do.
We need your resources in that case. But Graham, I'm going to ask you, please, just to introduce yourself, to your name, the organisation, and share with us your passion.
My name is Graham Ogunleye. Basically, I work with very interesting people and organizations. I work with Emily closely to help with, supporting her vision, in terms of the STEAM approach that she's doing. But then, like I said, if I'm going to list loads of other organizations, I work with Redbridge Libraries, running the successful Tech Ilford program. We just concluded a very successful event there last week, which is coming on 8 years, to do with tech. Emily was kind enough to be part of that particular ensemble. Thank you very much for that. I'm also currently working with organizations like the University of East London, where we're actually planning to do a takeover this August, of the facilities. Most of these academic institutions sort of shut down for the year. So those are, for instance, some of
Okay.
the current projects I'm working on.
Share us your
I also
passion
work
in
with a
that
number of
case.
business
Your
concerns.
passion. Tell us about
Right.
your passion.
My passion is sharing the vision. There's a lot that needs to get done on the frontiers of, existing technology, new technology, and future technology. All these three aspects of technology and its implementation is still way behind in terms of the rest of the world here in the UK.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of heavy lifting to sort of get things squared away, and sort of in position. That's why, for instance, in terms of the future, I'm working with Sheldon and a team. We've got a nice little team of experts that we're dealing with. So, like I said, I work with different groups with different focuses. So that's the
Thank
key.
you. Thank you. That's you're very talkative this morning, and I like that. It's going to be interesting later on. But Sheldon, can I ask you please to introduce yourself, say your name, the organization, and your passion. Your passion.
Okay. Morning, everyone. My name is Sheldon St. Clair. I work for myself as a contractor in IT. I've been working in the project management industry for over 20 years. And my current passion is one I've had for the last couple of years now, and that's basically using AI as a productivity tool in my work, creating websites, managing projects. And what I'm now doing is talking to people and talking to organizations about how they can use it to make their work easier, whether they're at school, whether they're at college, or what have you. So that's me.
Right. Very important. Each of you are involved in incredibly important work. And one of my latter day hats was that I was a school governor of a primary and secondary school, chair of governors. And what I came across, of course, are hundreds, if not thousands of families. And of course, parenting, as each of you will know, is, it's pretty tough, and to keep abreast of what is happening today and how today we impact our children is a struggle in itself. But to anticipate the future is also a great struggle. Parents need support, okay? And just prior to coming on to this podcast, I was speaking to a parent who questioned me on the word STEAM. But I used that term in the intro video, and she couldn't quite work out what it meant. There's a lot of words there, motivator, but what does it mean? I said, now, if I get this wrong, expert, I'm happy to be corrected live on the Motivator Show. Okay, I'm happy to be corrected. I replied, STEAM is an acronym, an important acronym, which really sets the stage for the 21st to the 22nd century. It really is the essence of future economic and social change in our society. And it means this. It means, first of all, S stands for science. The sciences are critical to today's society and future society. So our sons and daughters, nieces and nephews, need to ensure that as part of their qualification, it includes the sciences. Second, the T stands for technology. Okay. Technology, as you can see around us, we're using technology every day. So studying and understanding the use of technology is a critical part of ensuring that you can cope and survive in the 21st century into the 22nd century. Okay. E stands for engineering. Engineers are critical, the backbone of any technological society, and Britain is very much a technological society. Japan, China are technological societies. Okay, engineers, we need more engineers. Those are the people who put these equipment together. These are engineers. A stands for art. Now, yes, it is the classic art, which is what I engage in, but art in terms of creativity, coming up and innovating, coming up and just looking at new ways of developing and utilizing the technologies in creative ways, useful ways. Okay. and M stands for good old maths. The subject which is often taught badly in British schools, but if you get it right, it's the cornerstone of today's society. Now, I said it in my usual passionate manner. She responded, all right, I think I understand now. Then she went on to say, but my son is taking humanities. Is his core part of his forthcoming examinations. But I responded, well, humanities are important, but I'm hoping that the basic, such as English and maths, he will excel in. Okay? At the very least, he can always return to the sciences thereafter. But if that's his inclination, that's fair enough, you know. You must go where your passion, where your heart takes you. But be aware, though, that the world we're entering into, because nowadays I can do so much with this little device, my mobile phone, okay? So much now. And this is clearly an indicator of the future. That I then went on to describe what AI stands for, artificial intelligence, LLM, large language model, what that means. What are these chatbots, you know, I talked about that with her and so on. I became quite animated and wow. I'm sure I did not do a good a job as you guys would, okay? But she was sufficiently moved that she's definitely watching this podcast live, okay? And I believe her son will be with her as well. So we're speaking to that family and many families just like that who want to understand the importance of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and maths. It has to do with the jobs now and the likely jobs of the future. Okay, and it's significant for Africa and the Caribbean being places where real growth, economic growth, and opportunities for family growth is there. Okay, so that sets the scene. That sets the scene for this discussion, this dialogue with you, the experts. Okay, so my first question to you all, if I may. STEAM subjects, advice for parents. Now, I've given an indication of how I responded, but how would you have responded to a parent who sought out from you advice about STEAM and its implications for their sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, or their loved ones? If I may start, if you don't mind, on this occasion, children, if I begin with yourself, how would you have responded to that parent, that guardian, if you like?
Okay, okay, thank you. I thought I was going to go second or last. I thought I had more time to prepare. That's right.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
I'd break the answer down into 3 areas.
Okay.
Okay, and give me a couple of minutes to kind of like go through those.
Of course.
Now, in terms of if the parent had a young child,
Mm-hmm.
what does STEAM mean to them? And from an educational point of view, kind of like in terms of what I kind of grew up with, which was basically memorizing things, memorizing texts, memorizing maths, memorizing formulas. Going forward, the skills that that parent would need to impart to the younger child is about pattern recognition. So what do I mean by that? So how you can nurture that is in terms of jigsaw puzzles. How you can nurture that is in terms of kind of like if they're at school, VR and non-VR activities. How you can nurture that is getting them used to playing with their hands, using their hands to do things, whether it's kind of like sand, whether it's climbing trees, whether it's kind of helping them fix cars, you know, getting them using their hands. That is kind of like one way that you can prepare them for STEM subjects later on.
Forgive me if I may,
please.
just help me
Yeah.
along there, because that's
Yeah.
an interesting. I had not expected you to say that, which is interesting. And I see that Graham put his thumbs up as well. So I'm okay. It looks like it's back, but this time on a different. Okay, I've got 3 on. Okay, I think we're there, and good. Okay, sorry about that, folks. A little disruption. We've now enacted a resilience protocol that the IT people would say to you. So that's taking care of that. what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the intro video for a moment and get all of my guests in. We've got one still here. I need to get my other two guests in. So I'm going to play the intro video. So bear with me just for a few minutes. I'll be right with you. Africa and the Caribbean. Technology revolution worth more than $1 trillion is coming. Imagine an economic powerhouse, one that has been quietly gearing up, ready to totally shake up global technology industries. Now get this. Africa has 80% of all the world's population, but right now, less than 1% of the world's data center capacity. But hold on! This isn't a story about what's missing. It is an explosive beginning of something huge. A $1 trillion tech boom for Africa and the Caribbean. It is not just a nice idea. It's actually starting to happen. And way faster than you might think. So, what's actually powering this massive shift? It is not just happening by magic. There are some really strong technology, industry, and money forces at play.
First up, let's talk artificial intelligence. AI isn't just some fancy tech term here. It's a real economic booster. Some folks estimate AI could add a massive $1.2 to $1.5 trillion to Africa's economy by 2030. We're seeing things like generative AI and machine learning ready to cook up brand new industries and shake up old ones. Think farming done with pinpoint accuracy. Super advanced medical diagnosis. Education tailored to each student. And slick new financial services. Imagine AI helping small farmers get more out of their crops, or AI chatbots giving out crucial health tips in local languages. The Caribbean is also building up its AI game. A recent McKinsey report even said generative AI could add additional $61 to $105 billion in Africa and the Caribbean. That's huge! Digital infrastructure. This is the absolute bedrock of this tech boom. You can't build a digital future on wobbly ground, right? Africa's got a big gap to fill with data centers. They probably need about 700 new ones to keep up with all the growth. But that gap is closing and closing fast. Money is pouring into data centers with the African market expected to hit nearly 7 billion by 2030. Just building them will cost over 3 billion. And it's not just the basic stuff. High performance computing is taking off, powering some serious AI research. The Caribbean is also working hard to beef up its digital highways, often with help from other diaspora networks and partnership with global tech giants. Better connection for everyone is the name of the game, leading to smarter cities and getting more people online. And then there is fintech and digital payment. This area is absolutely exploding and opening up much more economic opportunity. Africa's digital payment scene is rocketing towards $1.5 trillion by 2030. Fintech startups aren't just companies, they are changing people's lives by making money accessible to millions. Sending money across borders is really a hot area, predicted to be $1 trillion market in Africa by 2035. This is all thanks to things like mobile money, blockchain, and clever fintech tools. In 2024 alone, people using mobile money paid over 100 billion to businesses. The Caribbean is seeing similar growth,
with digital payments changing their economies and money sent from home from the diaspora becoming even more important, all made easier by this new technology. The whole African fintech market is looking at revenues of 65 billion by 2030, and that's 13 times more than what it was in 2021.
Now, tech.
There you go. All righty. I think we're almost there now. And Sheldon's face was there a moment ago, but anyway, I want to bring my other guest into the studio. Aha. And I think we're going to have them all on shortly. There we go. Let's try this one more time. There we are. And I believe we're going to bring them all in. There you are. Aha. Okay, let's try this one here. Get rid of that one. And I believe, Graham, and we've got Emily as well. I'm going to bring you all in now. We'll get this right eventually. There we go. And can I? Oh, Emily, we can
Right,
now
I
hear
might
you.
have
That's
to
good.
rejoin because my
Yep.
camera's on the fritz. I'm going to rejoin shortly.
Okay.
I'll pop back
Not a
in.
problem. Can I just?
No,
just
I've got a message saying that cannot start video, so I'm not able to. Yeah, so I think
Yeah, I've got the same thing too. I can't.
You've got the same thing.
and
Okay.
yeah,
That's fine.
I don't think it's.
Yeah. Go ahead. All right.
Yeah.
One second. That's fine. I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm going to bring yourself in, Sheldon, into the main live stream. There we go. Okay. I would keep your cameras off for now. It is well. It is well. And Emily, let's see if we can bring you there as well. Aha. Okay. And Graham's come back. All right. Okay. There we are. And Graham, I'm not going to be unduly worried if you're not able to turn on your camera for now. I can supplement that using other means. And sorry, Sheldon, can you hear us still? Is that well?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can perfectly. That's perfect. Okay, now
brilliant.
let me
Right, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we
I can.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
That's fine. And what I want to do now is just get this to line up for you all. And now then, Emily, the only person who's present but not accounted for at the moment. Emily?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear us. You can?
Oh, no,
Excellent.
I can definitely hear you. I just can't share.
Turn on your camera.
I mean,
that's fine.
Yeah.
It is well. We'll leave it like that for now. I'm going to just keep pressing on. We will, once we do the re-editing, your images will appear. It is well. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, before I begin this discussion, I just want to make sure with yourself. At the moment, we've got. There we go. All right. Okay, we'll do this anyway. It doesn't matter. We'll move forward. And Sheldon, you're still with us there?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. You were responding to that question. If I may. And I think you were about to conclude that it's advice given to a parent to better understand the acronym STEAM. I noted you wanted to organize it into 3 parts, and you had just begun to explain the first part of your response to that parent.
That's correct. Yes, just 20 seconds kind of summation of that. It's really about having younger children. It's about kind of like teaching them to use their hands and to kind of like and to use their thinking abilities. So I'm talking about jigsaw puzzles. I'm talking about card games. I'm talking about ball skills, playing cricket, throwing the ball to each other. So it's developing your motor skills, and that kind of like sets them up for being able to embrace education, and not just the STEAM subjects, but subjects in general. So that was the first thing. In terms of the second aspect, which is the academic side, now you've got your kind of like traditional route in terms of what degrees do you need. So it's the sciences like computer science, like chemical engineering. You mentioned, Martin, that there was a lady whose son was doing humanities.
Yes.
Right. So the humanities in terms of, say, geology, for instance, with a STEM subject like maths, you're talking about careers as a geologist. You're talking about careers as a climate change specialist, which will be kind of like big in the 21st century. What the humanities teaches you is about pattern recognition. It's about kind of like having a structured approach or a structured way to solve a problem, whether it's kind of like, whether it's geography, whether it's history. In terms of art, again, art and AI. So but it's not just about, say, doing a degree or doing GCSEs. There are T levels to yet that you can kind of like you can do in, say, digital production or design and development. There's apprenticeships that you can do as well in data analysis. There's NVQs you can do in engineering, maintenance, or IT support, or you can work for companies that have a trainee scheme, where it's a graduate trainee scheme, or whether it's kind of whether it's tech training. So working in the police force, working for Network Rail, doing internships. Yeah. And then the third theme is kind of like what the parent can do themselves. So there are kind of like skills boot camps that, and some of it is government funded as well. So as a parent, they can get involved in the new technology, the new way of thinking. Open University have micro credentials. It's not just about okay, let me send my child into the big new world. What can I do to upskill myself to support them or to use those skills in my job? So those are kind of like the three broad, very, very broad, but those are the three kind of levels. It's, you know, what you can do for the child to prepare them, what subjects they can do when they are, you know, kind of 16 plus, and what the parent can do themselves. If that makes sense.
Brilliant. It makes perfect sense. There's a lot packed into there. I'm going to resist the temptation to probe a little further. I may, but I'm definitely going to come back to you. I'm just conscious of time now. I'm just conscious that there's much in there. But thank you. That's a well thought through and well delivered response. That requires us in the re-edited version to further provide some subdivision for parents to explain what you just said. Brilliant, brilliant. Can I now move to Graham? The same question to you. The parents, I've set the scene. I've attempted to explain to that parent the meaning of the acronym STEAM. Okay. How would you have responded to that parent wanting to understand the acronym STEAM and its implication for, in this case, her son and indeed the family generally? How would you have responded, Graham?
Yeah, I'm going to keep my answers brief, obviously, due to time constraints, and I think I'll cover, obviously, that particular question. Encourage creative play. I'm with Sheldon on that. Build, code, draw together. Even if you're not tech savvy, there's a lot that can be done. You can play with all kinds of materials. You can go outside. You can do it inside. Tech has been done for centuries. Everybody's, from the onset of man when he came out of the cave, whatever the case may be, tech has always been part of the human existence. So that's one important. Number two, start coding and digital making from early ages. There's lots of things. It doesn't have to be a digital counting, basic accounting. That's digital. Engaging in activities that, like you said, improve critical thinking, that gets the kids looking at the wider context of their existence, where they are. That's also kind of important, because half the time, people think only of their own perspective. Get them working together with other people. Teamwork is very important. There's lots and lots of free tools out there. You'd be surprised how many tools are available, in terms of being able to do a lot of different activities. There's websites that do all sorts with regards to STEAM. Get involved in your local library. There's usually lots of existing programs that are in place. And at the same time, parents also need to push the issue to ask for these things, because if you don't ask, they don't do, as is most of the case. Prioritize active tech. I'm with Sheldon on this. They can make, they can design, they can code, but less screen time. Screen time, the screen is part of the process. It's not the whole process. You know, sticking them in front of an iPad or sticking them in front of a computer doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially when there's a whole lot of other skills that they need to be aware of. And then also there's, you know, the engagement
hold
of
on,
parents
Graham.
working together.
Hold on, Graham.
Yes.
That's an interesting one, because I must say, often parents equate a child on the screen with learning tech. You're saying less screen time. Explain that. That one you need to explain. That much. I'm actually speaking for parents. Yeah.
But the reason why less screen time is because with technology today, it's very easy for the kids to get distracted. For instance, you go to you set them a task with a specific agenda, program, or whatever it is, say on a computer or laptop. They will find ways to do other things. Like, for instance, they'll go on the internet, they'll go watch YouTube videos, or they play games rather than finish the assignment that you give them to do. It's not so easy to sort of lock things down, you know, in terms of the use of the computer. You know, you have to account for that in terms of, and in my sessions, whenever I do that, I usually use that as an incentive to sort of get them to finish whatever I request them to do in order to go on. But like I said, parents don't have, you know, remember, parents are parents. They've got their lives, they've got the kids, they've got other things they need to worry about. So and it's not a set session, you know, like I said, the kid, you give them the iPad, they walk off, you know, get them to read a book, you know, get them to do something tangible, you know, if they are going to do so, okay, even if they're going to use the iPad, use it to you know, watch a video that is instruction, tuition, okay, how to build a slinky, how to build, my brain's gone down, but you understand what I mean, just to do something or learn in the process.
That's okay.
That's the thing, you know, they go back, you can sit with them, okay, what have you learned from this? You know, not just watch, you know, brain rot videos. But the last point I was going to put on, which obviously is also to do with parents, it's number 5, is look for hands-on clubs and real tools and inclusive environments, you know, because, and that needs to be with other parents, you know, and then, you know, try and work with other organizations that do this, you know, reach out to, you know, the schools, you know, tell them this is what you want. Half the time, you know, I understand schools are under pressure, funding is tight in so many different circles, but the point is, if parents don't take the effort to ask for these things, it never get, you know, it will take a while before it happens.
Yes. Thank you. That's very, very clear. Again, a great deal was packed into this. And again, the re-edited version will unpack some of it, so it's easier for parents to digest. But there's a wealth of information contained in your response. Thank you. And the idea of reduced screen time, I find that fascinating. Thank you for that clarification. Emily, can I ask you the same question? I've set the scene. I attempted to respond to a parent to better understand the acronym that is STEAM. How would you have responded to that parent to better understand the acronym and its implication for, in this case, her son's education and indeed for their family generally? How would you have responded, Emily?
So, number one, Sheldon and Graham actually set the scene perfectly, and then don't need to extend myself on this, as I'm doing it every day with the young people as well. So thank you for this. And everyone gave a clear definition of STEAM.
Yes.
And then to help parents, STEAM really is everywhere, every day. Science is sport, science is food, technology is the TV, technology is the telephone, that is the most popular that people are using, software, apps, WhatsApp. Engineering is also everywhere, plumbing, all of these things, art, culture, food, mathematics, finding solution, how we're going to escape the house without parents singers coming in, or it's all a way of calculating score, kicking the ball, etc. So I think they only need to know that STEM has been around since the beginning, and it's only the reflection of what has been created with the time by people for people. But as we are growing and we're currently in a world that is transitioning, parents, I would say they need to actually encourage their children to be autonomous, because this new generation is very creative. They actually are not really keen to follow guidance. They're actually creative, but it's only to teach them to be really autonomous. I mean, Sheldon is into AI, and AI, we know that it's a support to take over repetitive and routines. It's technology. It's only is how to automate the craft, I would say. And the best way to actually encourage your child is to be aware of what's happening, be part of it. So in here, to be a creative, probably thinker or problem solver, you literally just solve the challenge of communication just this morning. So it wasn't a shock to anyone.
Yes.
And communication is actually the key. Technology is communication. So I think
Yes.
it's really to prepare the young people to be able to adapt and think and solve problems, because this is evolving so fast that if you're not able to do this and you're not aware of the humanity, so what happened before, you will constantly be learning in order to be ready, but you will not be ready because it goes as fast as possible, if it makes sense.
Okay.
Not sure. Does it make
No,
sense?
no, it does, and thank you, because you've combining each of your responses provide a very clear overview for parents and guardians and others, and what the types of support we should provide to our sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, or those who we have guardianship over. And what you, I believe you're inferring, is that there is significant support out there in the community, and I think Graham mentioned the library being a really useful resource. And it is true, in my own borough here in London, we've invested in libraries and augmented those libraries so they are truly places for learning with young people very much in mind, but for all ages. Okay, so in each of our libraries there are at least 40 to 50 computers. Okay, and we have trained staff available to support that person, how to use those computers effectively, or to give advice how to access the relevant data information that they are seeking out. So you are right that public services can adequately support parents if they ask for help. Okay, that's most critical. Can I just
Can
take
I
us
just
on to? Yeah, of course, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
there's one important thing that parents need to understand is
Okay.
they children, the most important thing at the moment, and the difference between the new generation and our generation. Our generation, we were raised to memorize. In this
Aha.
case, they
Yes.
are raised to think. That's where they need
Ooh.
to understand, because if you think, then you solve the problem. If you only follow and learn, then you just carry on with the tradition, which is different because they don't
Fascinating.
solve the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Sheldon mentioned this. I didn't have time to pursue him. It's one of those questions I could ask. And now you've said it, I'm tempted, if only for a moment, because this is interesting, because it's a fundamental difference in teaching and learning styles, of course. You're right. We learned by rote. Timetables we learned by rote. But when you say you're taught how to think, um, I know that you run and manage a community organization supporting young people in particular and wider communities into the digital age. And my question that I was going to ask you anyway, which of course is how to maintain relevant skills within a rapidly changing technological landscape, okay, which means you've got to think, okay. Can you just maybe expand upon what you mean by being taught to think, and how that relate to that my follow-up question, which how to maintain relevant skills within this ever-changing technological landscape. In other words, the equipment we're using is very different. Hmm. Give us a come on.
So
Yeah.
let's me maybe explain how we actually work with the young people, because
Okay.
it's a
Yes.
what Sheldon actually has explained.
Hmm.
So we actually work and run real life project experience for
Hmm.
children, and they have access to equipment. Everything is defined in advance,
Hmm.
of the kind of equipment, who's going to be the tutor with them, and the
Yes.
length of the activity. So it could be a
Yes.
day workshop, a week, a term, or it could be during an event. So we
Hmm.
give them the task to do something using, so for example, we are going to, so when we do show and tell, we actually print name tag. It's a very simple thing where they need to sit down, use their IT skills, learn a new software, and then we let them know that actually that software is free,
Right.
communicate with, for example, Graham, and then whoever is assisting as well. and
Okay.
then they need to use their they've got a time frame,
Yes.
and
Yes.
if they are not happy with what we're doing, that's where the communication starts. Because when a young person does something, anyone actually, they reflect on their first draft, and then if they don't like it, emotion takes they usually take over. But
Aha.
how then can we communicate with them in order to help them to grow from that problem? So number one,
Right.
we need to communicate. Dialogue is the number one thing. Number
Yes.
two, they have the tools, which is material, equipment, and the people. Number three,
Yes. Yes.
the platform is you can go and come back, you can go and come back to make sure you can
Yes.
revisit it.
Yes.
Once your work is done, if you reach the final goal that you wanted or not, you will be able to explain the process,
Aha.
which is what the current
Yes.
situation is happening in schools. Unfortunately,
Yes.
schools don't have the capacity to allow the children to do those things, communication. And most of the things as well are already pre-designed for the children, even cutting a simple shape. So that's why
Yes.
they're losing their motor skills, because they don't use scissors as they used to use. They don't actually, I mean, we used to climb up trees. We used to, everything was embedded in our
Yes.
education.
Yes.
So
Yes.
culture, sports, and then in this case now, everything that is a healthy lifestyle has become a proper business. So not
I
everyone can
understand.
access it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how can we actually is to give the skill to the child to be autonomous in order to think and be creative and a problem solver.
Self-learner. Yes. Absolutely. I completely understand. And yes, it kind of summarized myself in so many ways. Absolutely, you have to be autonomous. You got to be self-motivated, and I enjoy learning. I enjoy learning, acquiring new skills. But I hear you. Fascinating. I wish you were my teacher when I was a child, my Lady Emily. Uh, okay. Um, Sheldon, can I ask you the same that follow-up question, if I may, Sheldon, and
Yeah.
just remind you
Yeah.
my follow how to maintain relevant skills within a rapidly changing technological landscape. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do you
Before
maintain
going
those
on,
skills? Yeah.
yeah, before going on, something that Graham mentioned previously in his excellent presentation, I just wanted
Hmm.
to bring out. This is about kind of like using screen time. I'm one of those
Aha.
guilty parents that park their child in front of software and
Yes.
computers, but
Yes.
but what we didn't do is kind of like using the screen time as a discussion aid. So you could actually use what they're doing to engage in talking to them about it. What are they
Hmm.
doing? How did they find it? It aids
Hmm.
kind of like communication skills, and it turns a passive thing, like watching TV or watching a software. It turns that from being passive into active learning. That's the bit that's really kind of missing. It's not just
Hmm.
about, oh, you're watching, you're spending too much time on TV. What are you learning about it? What are you learning from that? Are you engaging with your child to discuss what they've actually seen on TV? Or even if they read a book, are you actually
Right.
kind of like discussing what they've read? What are the characters? What, kind of like, what's the story? Yeah, teach them to be
Yes.
storytellers. Teaching to be
Yes.
storytellers is a big skill that's going to be needed in the future when you're designing products and services. But okay,
Wow.
going back to the question,
Yeah,
the
no,
question at
great,
hand.
fascinating. Yeah. So you're
Yeah, go
natural
back to the question at
teachers,
hand.
you see. So you enjoy. It's enjoyable to listen to each of you. You're natural teachers. So anyway, continue,
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. I think that in terms of staying kind of employable in the tech
Hmm.
world, I think that kind of adults need to develop new habits. They need to
Mm.
develop new internal habits, and they
Hmm.
need to develop new external habits.
Absolutely.
Now, what does that mean, Sheldon? Because, sounds a bit kind of like highbrow. It's quite practical. It's
Yes.
quite practical. So, in terms of developing external habits,
Uh-huh.
it's watching shows like this, where
Hmm.
kind of like we're talking about digital tech. We've got a
Yes.
range of different people on a weekly or
Yes.
monthly basis. You could actually
Yes.
use this as part of your education program. Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh
Um,
yes. Mm.
I'm, to- I'm talking about kind of say, kind of like doing short courses. There's lots of free. I've done quite a few of them. There are lots of kind of free short courses on, say, LinkedIn, on kind
Hmm.
of like Teachable, on Udemy, even on YouTube. there's kind of like courses that are being taught on there. So you can actually kind of upskill yourself. One reason kind of like why I'm kind of like got so much knowledge about AI is I spent hours and hours and hours watching YouTube videos, and that led on to kind of reading about it. Yeah. You can join kind of like peer groups on kind of like on WhatsApp. I belong to quite a few kind of like WhatsApp groups where we talk about AI, we talk about the future of AI. You can join groups on different on different kind of subjects, and just finally recognizing that this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So just kind of progress slowly, 15 minutes a day, watching a video or reading an article over a period of time. That teaches you about habits. It's habit forming. So that's kind of like the external side. In terms of the internal side of kind of like learning new habits to remain employable, it's things that we didn't need to know about. Say, for instance, empathy. Really, not listening and hearing or being sympathetic, but empathy, seeing things from the other person's point of view.
That's right. Yes.
One of the things that Emily mentioned about kind of teaching people to be independent thinkers or kind of like or autonomous.
Yes.
I'm not sure about that because I think being a team player or being kind of like part of a team is going to certainly in the tech world, so I can also, from my experience in the tech world, being part of a team and the ability to relate to people, being empathetic, is what's going to cause you to rise up. If you look at, say, countries like India, look at countries like China, they're kind of like, it's very much about the team. It's not necessarily about the individual. I'm not an athlete where or a sports person or an entertainer where you've got to be an individual. Being a lot of us are taught to be individuals. That's not going to cut it in the future. It's being part of the team and recognizing that we've got a project to do together. Yeah. And that's where all your kind of pattern recognition or your creativity or your curiosity, which again is another kind of skill you're going to need. A couple more things. Yeah, a couple more things. Presentation. Can I finish first and then kind of you can come back, Emily? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so things like presentation and public speaking skills, that's going to be kind of like needed. A lot of us kind of like want to hide behind, okay, I want to do my work. There's a wall. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be visible. But it's a case of the people who will do well in life are those that, and that's something that can be taught to young children at an early age. Young children don't really have fear. It's kind of like bred into them as they get older. So doing things like public speaking, presentations, drama, music classes, those are kind of things that in terms of internal habits, that's kind of like what you're going to need. But I think kind of like there's probably three things in closing on this question. There's probably three things that I know that's benefited me and I've seen it benefited other people. That's really about being curious. About a particular problem. So therefore, being curious, you're being kind of driven. By being curious, you're being kind of like you're being obsessed and you're staying to resolve the problem. Second thing is about pattern recognition. So, if you're a parent of young children, teach them VR, teach them non-VR. Those are in terms of critical thinking that Emily mentioned. VR and non-VR are kind of like at a younger level is the best gift you can give your child. And then thirdly, in terms of grit, in terms of doing the work as best as you can. So that's what I
perfect.
Would
Thank you.
I would say
Thank you. That's very, very clear. I noticed that Emily wanted to come back. Did you want to say anything, Emily, very quickly before I go to my concluding question?
Yes. Just to say, Sheldon, I totally agree with what you've mentioned. When I mentioned autonomy, it was only about teaching the child to have the motivation to do things, because some of them, what we've seen is when they don't know how to work or approach or start even to get into a group, is because they don't even know where to start. And then working in a group, then they actually refuse. So it's more, when I say autonomy, it's more to say, now I need to do my homework. or now I need to go and join this group, or now it's only that aspect that I meant.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the clarification. Thank you for
Absolutely,
that. Yeah.
absolutely. In unity is strength. I agree.
I mean, to support what they both said as an
please,
example,
yes.
to support what they both said as an example, like for instance, you've got those kids in school and you got the kids, for instance, in the homeschool setting. For instance, the kids in the homeschool setting are motivated to be independent learners. Right. Whereas in most cases in school, because everything is teacher-led or curriculum-led in terms of its entirety, there's usually a certain breakdown where folks are waiting in order to do certain, or motivate. Okay, kids go off and work on this. It's like, we're going to wait for the teacher to do that kind of thing. There's a lot of opportunities, especially now, for teachers or people who are facilitating to engage with young people as part of the process. You don't have to lead from the front anymore. That's one thing that we have to sort of think about in 2025. It's all about collaborative learning. You can sort of within the group apportion bits out. All right, you go learn this, you go learn that. We'll all come back. Let's see what we can learn. That's actually the way, because for instance, it's like you said, during our time we had to memorize. We had to keep things in the head. We had to keep books and whatever it is on the dusty shelf nearby and there. But that's not the case now. You can simply do like Joe 90, as some people might not, go and what do you call it? Research Joe 90. Just simply go somewhere, grab a bit of information, stick it in your head, which is like watching a YouTube video.
Graham, you've just given away your age. I know Joe 90.
I know.
Cool.
I know. Like I said, folks go research Joe 90. Like I said, the ideas were back then,
brilliant,
and what we're living now. So the thing is, a lot more needs to be done. Sort of, like I said, do exactly what Sheldon and Emily.
Okay, thank you, Graham. That was very clear. Joe 90, and I'll give away another character who I admired with an intellect, and that was Roger the Dodger. Do you remember? Anyone remember where that name comes from? Roger the Dodger.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. I liked his ability to study and find solutions. I always wish I'd like him, Roger the Dodger. But anyway, there you are. That gives away my childhood. And now, if I may, and we've got maybe 5-10 minutes on this one maximum, that is, of course, my last question to each of you very quickly. And this also inferred the title for this session as well. The diaspora's technological skills transfer to advancing both African and indeed Caribbean economies. Is that real? Are these skills, experience that we acquire here transferable to Africa and the Caribbean? And indeed, are the skills we're gaining useful in any way to those countries? And are they able potentially to aid and abet the economic boost in Africa and the Caribbean? It's a long question, but fundamentally, is what we're doing here relevant and will it support economies in Africa and the Caribbean? If I go with Sheldon first of all. Sheldon.
Okay. Sorry, Martin. I think kind of the first question I went first. Second question, Emily went first. The third question.
I'm happy to.
Come on, Graham.
Yeah, I'm happy. Right. Okay. So yes, the simple answer is yes. There's no two ways about it. We live in a global village in real time with real solutions, with real opportunities. Real people engaging left. I mean, we're all access to WhatsApp. Literally, I haven't made an international phone call in how many years. Everything is done via the internet. And like I said, I speak to people all over the world in all different time zones. In different capacities. Yes, the short answer is yes. To get it done, certain things need to be in place. Here in the developed world, we have frameworks. We have established frameworks. We have governmental frameworks. We have commercial frameworks. We have private and public sector frameworks that exist that you can use. There are resources that are readily available. I mean, WhatsApp, I mentioned, the internet, we've got, lots of avenues to access the internet, lots of resources to do that. So that's important. The thing is, these need to be ready, maybe not in a wider context, but they need to be established in these other countries. There need to be frameworks so that folks can interface.
Right.
Yes, and then like that would then lead to, for instance, mentoring online, where folks can work on open source projects or support local diaspora-led initiatives. Diaspora-backed hubs can have greater support, with a global focus.
Yes.
You can build for local community. Obviously, what will happen is within those groups, they'll be focusing on specific communities with their specific needs.
Right.
We have to take, Emily mentioned culture. We have to take, the culture of the place, the people in the place. Their solutions for them are very different from here. And then young people, Africa, I'm just the Caribbean, they've got the youngest population, currently today in the world. Many of them are tech savvy. Many of them are going into, opportunities. And, so it's a question of, giving them opportunities based on our frameworks here that work for them. And then lastly, government needs to play its part. Here, for instance, we've got loads of, if you want to get the diaspora ready, you need to start getting them ready from this point now. Run programs, support programs. The embassies need to pull their finger out and basically start looking at working with the diaspora groups, especially the young people, because like I said, they're all tech savvy. They know what's going on. If you want young people here, speaking to young people there, then you need to start working on programs now from here. And then showcase the innovation, show what's possible. If people don't, the main issue with technology is if people don't see it or they don't see the outcome, they don't buy into it.
Indeed. And if I may ask you, Graham, because you do so much out there, do you have framework? Do you have either current programs or blueprints for frameworks that government in Africa and the Caribbean could utilize if they were to reach out to you?
I have. First of all, I have commercial concerns that are looking to work in Africa. I'm going to give you a frank, right. The reason why we haven't, and like I said, and that obviously means that I have documentation, resources, and plans, strategies that can be implemented. But the issue is, who do we engage with on the ground?
I understand.
Is there governmental support for delivering it? Also, here's the other kicker. Here in the UK, for instance, what is being done to support what I'm even doing that we're going to be doing out there here? One of the things I did just before coming onto the program is I went to look online to sort of note the number of makerspaces that existed in the UK. You'll be surprised. I'll post a link in the chat that there's literally, it's few and far between. So if, for instance, we're having issues here trying to establish important centers and areas of development for skills, then how successful, like I said, and thankfully I've got one, which is Redbridge Library, which we can use as a typical example. There's Emily, for instance, with her small footprint that she's obviously looking to develop in the borough of Southwark, as well as a few other parties. And there's a lady up in Middlesbrough that's also looking to develop. So, but these are few and far between. I'll post a link so you guys can take a look at what I'm talking about.
Thank you. In other words, you're right there in the vanguard, as it were, to ensure that the information is shared, and you are able, when you have the right framework, to operate and grow. That much I'm assuring you. Your details will be on the screen in the re-edited version of this live interview. So thank you, Graham, for that feedback. Can I now go to you, Emily, on very much the same question, just to remind you of the question, that is the diaspora, that's us here, the technological skill transfer to advancing African countries. Are the skills relevant? Can we transfer? Should we transfer if we had the opportunity? What say you, Emily?
Um, it's I don't know. It's a bigger conversation, I would say. It's a
Yes, it
bigger
is.
conversation. Because Graham mentioned it earlier. They've got youngest population.
Mm-hmm.
There's a massive diaspora.
Yes,
They've got hubs in a couple of countries.
yes.
Um, I think I don't think I don't. It's very tricky. My personal experience shows me that Africa doesn't actually need help. So I think it's more to organize the platform and get people to
Okay.
get together to move
Uh-huh.
forward. So I think we might have a
Yes.
different opinion here because I'm seeing the priority in a different
All
position.
right. No. Your
The thing
perspective is
is,
important. What you're saying is that they have the skills. What you need is a framework so they can utilize those skills more efficiently, more effectively. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yeah, because my personal experience, I mean, in a couple of African countries showed me that
Okay.
the autonomy that I was talking earlier, and then what they're doing, like Sheldon was mentioning earlier, is there.
Yes. Okay.
Is there.
Right.
We know that in general, the resources are there.
Right.
Political context change the things, but
Right.
it's only how can we organize it to make it more advanced? Because we've seen and we see
Okay.
geniuses in
Yes.
various
Yes.
African countries. Um,
Yes. Yes.
I if I have, for example, to implement busybodies, let's say in Senegal or Ivory Coast or Benin or Nigeria or South
Mm-hmm.
Africa,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would maybe to look at the AI side, automation, or maybe how to help automation, for example, or get everything in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be more that side because it's there. It's
Yes.
already there. So I think
Brilliant.
it's me
Yes.
answering this question is a bit difficult because with what I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
the the self, I mean, the autonomy is there. Working together might be different. That might be maybe one of the thing. Not sure,
Right.
depending on the skill, depending on the context, the subject. The yes, it's I might kind of leave that question
Well,
between Sheldon
it's okay.
and
It's
Grant.
okay. You at least you're
Can I
inferring
sort of
because you
just
work.
add an extra thing because I understand
Okay.
where Emily's coming from with
Okay.
regards to this particular point. Having
Mm-hmm.
lived out in Africa for considerable number of years, one of
Mm-hmm.
the key issues that is really, really, really apparent is
Mm-hmm.
this fact that folks are not consistent in what they do. They're also
Okay.
not consistent, for instance, in areas of maintenance. For instance, you could send a whole lot of kit out there, for instance, and it will either follow, it will fall into disrepair because there's no
Okay.
culture of maintenance. Now, those particular skills are, for instance, where I think the emphasis needs to be when it comes to technology. Now, that's why I said, for instance, we from the diaspora have a big part in order to play with folks out there, because at the end of the day, we emphasize that here. That's the
Right.
big thing in terms of what we
Okay.
do here.
Okay.
If that
I
makes sense,
understand.
like I
Yes,
said,
it does. It does.
I've got
And if
three
I may,
differences that I've been.
if I may, Graham. So of course, I just want to always remind the audience: Africa is not a single country. It is a
Yes,
continent of what 53,
continent.
54 countries. Therefore, there's great diversity, and therefore,
Yes.
how you manage this particular subject of technology will be different from different parts of the continent. So, Graham is not describing a continent-wide problem. He's describing is immediate
Actually, it's
experience, which
mostly
is
sub-Saharan Africa that has this
that's right.
main thing.
Well,
The folks
that's
in North
very broad
Africa,
again.
yes,
That's still very broad.
yes,
That's still very broad.
yes. Well,
So,
trust me,
I'm not
it is
going.
a big
It's
issue.
like, no, Graham. I don't want to do that. As I said, I know that there are quite a number of countries who will be watching and learning from this podcast. Okay, and I've mentioned one prior to you coming in. That is Burkina Faso, for instance, who are definitely investing in people in order that the correct framework that works effectively for that country is put in place and properly resourced. So it been so they I hear your immediate anecdotal experience, but there's there's a clear intent across the continent to improve the situation because they understand the potential Africa possesses. It's the big growth area for the next 100 years. Africa is the big growth area. If I may just take us on very quickly, if I may, to Sheldon now. Now, this time you're the last person on this subject on the question. It is
Sorry.
well. It is well.
Well,
It is
Think
well. It
light,
is well.
think light. Thank you, Sheldon.
we were talking about pattern recognition earlier.
Ah.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. When I first read that question, I think like yourself, Martin, in terms of whether we should, and in
Yes.
terms of Emily's reticence or concern,
Yep.
I shared those because, again, I'm thinking that, well, am I displaying the colonialist attitude in terms of we in the West know more than kind of like people that we viewed as lower developed as us? And also because I do kind of like a lot of research into AI, I know that there's good projects and good work and good skills
Yes.
coming out from the region. However, when I had my conversation with both yourself and Graham yesterday, in terms of the prep for today's session, it caused me to do some research, and
good.
I'm now of the view that yes, there is a role for the diaspora to involve itself in what happens in Africa, not just from a remittance and money viewpoint. Yeah. And I'll kind of like I'll very quickly talk about the four things that I thought about. It's all under the umbrella of be a blessing to others. That's kind of like,
yes,
yeah,
I like
there's
this.
a saying like be a blessing to others and you yourself will be blessed. But yeah, but we won't go into that. So there's four areas, and I was looking for examples as well. So the first area is in terms of virtual mentoring, via Zoom. So there was a study that kind of showed in the Nigerian study, recent one, that showed that diaspora coding workshops raised students' employability scores by 30%.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
in terms of virtual mentoring, could be like an hour a week, hour a fortnight. In terms of coding clubs or university incubators in Lagos, for instance, or Accra or Nairobi. So there is kind of virtual things that you can set up. I know my wife is involved in a lot of charitable activities, and she acts as a mentor both to schoolgirls. It's always girls, it's always women in the UK in terms of schools, talking to 15 and 16-year-olds or what have you. But she's also a mentor to a 16-year-old lady in Nigeria for probably about 2 years now. And she provides her not just with like careers advice, but also connections and introductions to people. So she's using her network to make them available to students. Yeah.
Right.
So, so in terms of virtual mentoring, the things that we discussed today can be set up and can be done. If you've got kind of like, there's lots of people on LinkedIn that I connect with that are all over the planet as such, including the African continent. So the answer is yes, virtual mentoring can be done now, and it's 1 hour sessions. So it's something that we can do now. The second thing is about kind of like, say, developing partnerships here and in Africa. So for instance, years ago, what I used to do was kind of send laptops. There was a kind of like I've been to Ghana on a couple of occasions, and sorry, can I be heard? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes, yeah. I just said ditto, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, so I met up with a person that repaired laptops. So they said get laptops, repair it, kind of like refurbish it, and then sell it on. So I was kind of sending kind of like laptops down to Ghana. Okay, didn't end well, but the model works. And also I've got some friends that used to kind of get laptops from institutions. Like in a bank, this guy worked in the city, so he used to get lots of kind of like good kit, and through a charity in the UK, send it off to Jamaica. So, so back in the day, you did have hardware being sent to different countries.
Yes.
Now, what we're talking about is using sharing intellectual capital, things that we've learnt things that we've come across, things that we've used in a different environment to perhaps what's used out there. So therefore, we can kind of like export intellectual capital. The third thing, and again, we talked about this yesterday, was about kind of short visits, organizing short visits to go on the ground and to see what is needed and kind of like to see how we can help, whether it's kind of transferring skills in AI, talking about health tech, talking about green energy. So there are kind of things that kind of organizations like or groups like yourself, kind of for example, Martin, Councillor Martin, that can set up these sort of not just trade missions, but people want to go on holiday. Oh, I want to go to Burkina Faso, but I don't know how to get there. I don't know, kind of like I don't know anybody.
We can help.
So you can. So you can have organized groups that kind of like can go to these countries. So you can get a holiday, you're kind of supporting the economy, and you're seeing what you can actually do to help. And then finally, my family are from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. So one of the things that I was thinking about was so you've got countries like, say, India, and they've got like tech institutions that just teach about tech, computer science. And it's a case of, okay, helping to support the development of a tech institution, a tech center, a tech hub in the Caribbean. So there's projects that I'm working on that people may be skilled in these other countries, but they won't be working on the same projects that I am working on. They wouldn't encounter the same problems that I've encountered. They wouldn't have encountered the same kind of like talking to different peoples from different cultures, from different religions, different personalities. So therefore, in the diaspora, we're coming across different scenarios, different case studies that people in the African continent or in the Caribbean wouldn't come across because that wouldn't be kind of like their experience. So we can kind of actually bring case studies to them in terms of to increase their kind of awareness of different scenarios and perhaps help set up institutions in those particular areas. That's something that I'm looking to do in St. Lucia. But it's a case of, I think it's really a case of, okay, you need to invest time in terms of boots on the ground. Okay, it's not just about Zoom calls or team calls or what have you, but if you really want to be relevant, it's really a case of, okay, how often have you been to?
Yes, 100%. If I may, I think that's 100%. And I just mentioned a moment ago that the Motivator Show is organising a visit to Burkina Faso at the invitation of that country, and the whole purpose is to better understand the opportunities that are there. The government is pretty clear that the intellectual capital that we possess will add significantly to boosting that local economy, and they're willing to invest to secure that intellectual capital. I think that's, I'm very excited at that prospect. Yes, go ahead.
Can I add, can I sort of,
of course,
clarify, basically qualify what I was talking about with regards to maintenance. Now, using a typical example, say, of a makerspace, for instance, right? There's a number of issues that sort of need to be in place in order for it to work. I mean, regarding maintenance, you need local ownership of it. People on the ground need to invest in it. It needs to obviously work to empower the community. There needs to be opportunities for training and capacity building for training, preventive maintenance, If you send a whole load of 3D printers out, which has happened, that's one of the reasons why I'm sort of, reticent of taking the standpoint I have. And, documentation and manuals, who's maintaining all that? Schedule checks, and spare parts inventory, where do they get the parts from? Who's going to maintain that? Who are the local technology partners? Feedback. Sometimes you ask people for stuff and you never get this. Sustainable funding. In order to run these kind of programs, you have to think long term. You can't think short term. Equipment care and culture. Who's responsible for it? And resource planning. What projects are you going to be working on? Who gets access to it? Who's what level? Intergenerational, shared responsibility.
So Graham, if I may, what you're describing is a very detailed framework document, which I know that there are governments in Africa and the Caribbean will want to talk to you about. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to hold on to it, because I can see great opportunities for you. In fact, for each one of you, both in Africa and the Caribbean, and we will have further discussion in order to cement these connections. Okay, but the plans for Burkina Faso are real, and it will be truly inspirational, because I'm involved. It will be truly inspirational. But what I want to do now is kind of close our discussion now, because what you all have been able to do is provide sound advice to parents and guardians, to young people and those in work who are thinking about the jobs of the future and adapting their career paths to ensure that they remain, that they can continue to sell their labor. And what you've been able to do is really set a path for those who wish to learn. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to close our interview. I'm going to say, each of you, thank you so much for what you've described. It has been truly inspirational. And what we will do is re-edit this, is take out some of the uncertain parts, but we want to make sure that each of your answers, that we add to those answers, and also obtain reaction from the relevant governments and agencies who are watching you and are identifying you as being a catalyst for change in their countries, their communities, in their countries. So I'm to say to each one of you, thank you for joining us here on The Motivator Show. Good day to you all.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Much appreciated. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Now, as you've all seen, that was truly and really inspirational experience. And what you've been able to do is to observe people, in their best possible light. What you've seen is an example of communities here in Britain, highly trained communities here in Britain, ready and able to make significant contributions to the communities here and overseas. And what you see here is the incredible potential that exists amongst the communities here. And if in doubt, I say to people, please ask questions. You're receiving this information, do not sit passively. Ask questions. I'll put the details. The contact the show is in the chat. Okay, you can go to the Demotivator YouTube channel. You can see our contact details are there. Reach out to us. Reach out to us. But if you wish to join us on our visit to Burkina Faso, you are more than welcome to join us. Okay, all the due diligence has been completed. The visit will be, and I'll just repeat the details, on the 26th of January to the 9th of February for 2 weeks. It'll be an inclusive price. If you send a message to the email address, the future is Burkina Faso @outlook.com. I'll repeat the email address. The future is Burkina Faso @outlook.com, and we'll provide you with the necessary details. But today's podcast was intended to act as a stimulus, a catalyst for you to think about these issues. Think about your sons, your daughters, your nieces, your nephews, those you have guardianship over, to ensure that they're on the right path. They're prepared for the 21st to the 22nd century. Life will be very different from what it was from the 19th and 20th century, from 20th to the 21st century. It will be very different. Preparing the next generation is one of our primary goals to ensure the continuation of our communities. It is vitally important. But if in doubt, ask questions. If in doubt, ask questions. And I hope you found the information shared today helpful, useful. I know we had a few interruptions, but it's fine. We've found solutions. Notice we've found the solution to overcome those impediments. And together we are strong. In unity is strength. In unity is strength. And I'll just say in closing, there are just two other issues I would just want to bring to your attention. And this is specifically for those who are affected by what we term as being the Windrush scandal. Some of you will recognize this. These are those persons who were disenfranchised by the British Parliament of their nationhood. There are still tens of thousands, indeed hundreds of thousands of people who are affected by this scandal. Okay, and what we seek here is to give support to those who are giving support to those who are affected by the scandal. Okay, so I'm going to put on the screen, there you go, the Windrush Legal Advice Clinic. So if you are affected by the Windrush scandal, please reach out to the Windrush Legal Advice Clinic. They're at 58 Bank Street in the West Midlands, and that's postcode WV148PD. Email address, it's info@windrushlegaladviceclinic.com. It's there on the screen. And telephone number, if you're in the UK, but if you're not, you remove the 0, but it's 01902 382 542. We need to get those legal beagles back in the studio. They were truly an inspirational group of people, and they are doing incredibly important work out there in the community. But I also want to give a big shout out to Anthony Brown, who's leading the charge to securing a Windrush Act. If I can get the right one on the screen in a second. Now, the Windrush Act is an important step forward because what it will do is enshrine in law the rights of those affected by the Windrush scandal. So there's no dispute or confusion when they've been assessed by the Home Office here in the UK, which is equivalent to the State Department in the United States of America. Okay, so those who make the applications can do this with competence. To reach out to Anthony Brown, it's www.wdlegal.co.uk. www.wdlegal.co.uk. You can contact Anthony Brown via that website. His work is most certainly having an impact. We hope to get him back in the studio within the next month or two. His contribution to this campaign has been second to none. He has ensured that he has been able to access those in power and argue the case for a Windrush Act. I commend his work. I applaud his work. Well done, Anthony. Keep up the good works. Keep up the good works. So if I may now say in conclusion, so this is the Motivator Show. Its objective is to share good quality information. Its objective is to move you to action because you are the change makers. As King Kabbalah said of the ACUP, we shouldn't really focus on individuals. What we should do is focus on our collective responsibility. As Sheldon said, that our collective responsibility, working together, is the best way to create results that are in our interest and are long term. Yeah, all the focus is on yourself. It's on the collective, the group, the family, the network. Yeah, that is how we move forward together. That's how we move forward. If in doubt, ask questions. Okay. The last quick announcement I would have put on the screen, and there you are. Very important one, and I'm pleased that this one is my last, but nevertheless not least. That is, of course, the former mayor of Southwark, Councillor Naima Ali, the founder of Unshackled Duma. Okay. Unshackled Duma is a Southwark-based organisation that empowers women and girls, particularly from Black, Asian and so-called minority ethnic and Muslim communities. The organisation focuses on promoting self-empowerment, autonomy and advocacy, with a strong emphasis on combating female genital mutilation, or FGM. It raises awareness about FGM's harmful effects, supports survivors and works toward eradicating this practice. I commend this initiative to you and reach out to her if you are affected by FGM or wish to support the campaign for its eradication. Please reach out to her. The email address is unshackledduma, followed by number 2 at gmail.com. I repeat, unshackledduma, followed by digit 2 at gmail.com. It is truly a worthy cause, a worthy initiative to support. I commend it to you. I commend it to you. So that is the show for today. It's been a bit of a challenge, but the challenge, we found solutions, and those solutions are firm and absolute. Okay, we're never beaten down. We're always rising. We're more than just a phoenix. We are there in the pinnacle, and we will never lose, because in unity its strengths. For the next 2 to 3 days, we will re-edit this live version. We'll provide you with a re-edited version, which will contain far more information that's available to be included in the live version. But as important, we'll also have reactions to this transmission from government and other agencies around the world to better understand how we here in Britain will have these profiles, IT-related profiles, can contribute to the supporting economies in Africa and the Caribbean. And in doing so, will help Britain, because what you create is really rich trading partners. Yes? And that means that Britain will earn even far greater revenue than would otherwise be the case. If you have a population able to buy your products or services, then you are richer for it. Are you not? There's a logic to it. Yeah? There's a logic to it. Rise up, each of you. You are the change makers. You are the change makers. And together we will make the difference. So if in doubt, ask question. Until the next time, I remain the motivator. Africa and the Caribbean. Technology revolution. Worth more than $1 trillion is coming. Imagine an economic powerhouse, one that has been quietly gearing up, ready to totally shake up global technology industries. Now get this, Africa has 80% of all the world's population, but right now, less than 1% of the world's data center capacity. But hold on! This isn't a story about what's missing. It is an explosive beginning of something huge. A $1 trillion tech boom for Africa and the Caribbean. It is not just a nice idea. It's actually starting to happen. And way faster than you might think. So, what's actually powering this massive shift? It is not just happening by magic. There are some really strong technology, industry, and money forces at play.
First up, let's talk artificial intelligence. AI isn't just some fancy tech term here. It's a real economic booster. Some folks estimate AI could add a massive $1.2 to $1.5 trillion to Africa's economy by 2030. We're seeing things like generative AI and machine learning ready to cook up brand new industries and shake up old ones. Think farming done with pinpoint accuracy, super advanced medical diagnosis, education tailored to each student, and slick new financial services. Imagine AI helping small farmers get more out of their crops, or AI chatbots giving out crucial health tips in local languages. The Caribbean is also building up its AI game. A recent McKinsey report even said generative AI could add additional $61 to $105 billion in Africa and the Caribbean. That's huge! Digital infrastructure. This is the absolute bedrock of this tech boom. You can't build a digital future on wobbly ground, right? Africa's got a big gap to fill with data centers. They probably need about 700 new ones to keep up with all the growth. But that gap is closing and closing fast. Money is pouring into data centers with the African market expected to hit nearly $7 billion by 2030. Just building them will cost over $3 billion. And it's not just the basic stuff. High performance computing is taking off, powering some serious AI research.
The Caribbean is also working hard to beef up its digital highways, often with help from other diaspora networks and partnership with global tech giants. Better connection for everyone is the name of the game, leading to smarter cities and getting more people online. And then there is fintech and digital payment. This area is absolutely exploding and opening up much more economic opportunity. Africa's digital payment scene is rocketing towards $1.5 trillion by 2030. Fintech startups aren't just companies, they are changing people's lives by making money accessible to millions. Sending money across borders is really a hot area, predicted to be $1 trillion market in Africa by 2035. This is all thanks to things like mobile money, blockchain, and clever fintech tools. In 2024 alone, people using mobile money paid over 100 billion to businesses. The Caribbean is seeing similar growth, with digital payments changing their economies and money sent from home from the diaspora becoming even more important. All made easier by this new technology. The whole African fintech market is looking at revenues of 65 billion by 2030, and that's 13 times more than what it was in 2021.
Now, tech is just a tool. The real magic behind this revolution, it's the people, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and especially the diaspora. The African and Caribbean people living abroad, particularly in places like Britain, aren't just watching from the sidelines. They're actively involved in building bridges. They are sending vital investment back home. But just as crucial, their teamwork. Think about a software engineer in London, maybe originally from Lagos or Kingston, Jamaica. He's not just coding for a UK company, he's guiding startups back home, investing in cool ideas, and even co-funding businesses that link both his worlds. This is happening on a big scale, creating powerful cycles of fresh ideas and growth. Even the United Kingdom government has pointed out that these strong people-to-people links and how the African diaspora is helping create opportunities that benefit everyone. This diaspora energy feeds into and is fed by super lively startup scene on the ground. Africa's startup world is buzzing with fresh ideas and a real drive to solve local problems that often have global significance. Funding is definitely looking up. Some predictions say the African tech startup funding scene could grow past more than $90 billion by 2030 if things keep going well and the right policies are in place. The Caribbean diaspora also makes a huge impact, with members doing big things in big global tech companies and pushing innovation in AI, fintech and cloud computing. We're seeing more shared workspaces and support programs, like the idea for an African Caribbean hub for generative intelligence, designed to bring together talent from both regions, and events like the Africa Tech Festival coming up in November 2025 are expected to gather over 15,000 tech leaders and innovators, sparking even more growth. The Africa-Caribbean tech revolution isn't some far-off dream. It's real. It's happening now. It's picking up speed. It's built on shared history, driven by brilliant people and supercharged by teamwork and digital innovation. The road to $1 trillion tech scene is being built as we speak by entrepreneurs in busy tech hubs, by forward-thinking diaspora members of cities like London, and by policymakers laying down the groundwork for this new digital age. This is more than just an economic prediction. It's proof of the incredible creativity, toughness, and ambition of two amazing regions.
The journey is still unfolding. The challenges are still being tackled with fresh ideas, and the potential is truly off the charts. This is a story of empowerment, a story of connection, a story of a future that brings actively builds right now. So what do you think? What do you think about this massive tech transformation? Which innovations are you most excited to see? Drop your thoughts and join the conversation in the comments below. If you found this interesting, please give this video the thumbs up. Subscribe for more deep dives into where global tech is heading. And share this story with everyone who needs to know about the incredible tech wave building across Africa and the Caribbean. Let's spread the word about this $1 trillion future that's coming soon, right now.